In March 2022, a tragedy occurred at the Orlando FreeFall attraction in Icon Park, Orlando, Florida. It was the tallest freefall ride in the world, over 430 feet, and drew hundreds of tourists every day. That evening, a 14-year-old boy from Missouri, Tyree Sampson, decided to ride with other visitors. His weight exceeded the ride's limit, but no check was performed. The seat restraint was incorrectly set. The sensor showed it was locked, though it did not properly secure his body. During the drop from more than 300 feet, at the moment of sudden braking, he slipped out and hit the ground, dying instantly. Shocked visitors filmed everything, and the footage quickly spread online. The investigation confirmed serious violations: no weight control, poor operator training, and no additional seatbelts. The ride was permanently shut down and scheduled for demolition. In May 1972, one of the deadliest amusement park tragedies in Europe struck London's Battersea Park. The Big Dipper wooden roller coaster was the park's main attraction, climbing more than 50 feet before plunging down to thrill riders. On the day of the disaster, many children were aboard, as it was a weekend afternoon. As one train of cars was pulled up the lift hill, the main hauling rope suddenly snapped. The train rolled backward uncontrollably and slammed at high speed into another car waiting at the bottom of the track. The collision was devastating. Several cars derailed, throwing passengers and trapping others under the wreckage. 5 children were killed instantly, and more than 10 others were seriously injured. Eyewitnesses recalled how in just a moment, the sounds of laughter turned into screams, panic, and chaos. Emergency crews rushed to the scene, but rescuers had to pull victims from the shattered wooden structure. Investigators later revealed that the safety mechanisms were outdated and maintenance had been neglected. The tragedy became a symbol of negligence in the amusement industry. The park closed a few years later, but the Big Dipper crash remains remembered as one of the darkest moments in London's amusement park history. In June 1986, a horrific accident struck the Mindbender roller coaster at West Edmonton Mall in Canada. Billed as the world's largest indoor roller coaster, its steel track wound through the shopping complex with 3 massive vertical loops. The ride was considered an engineering marvel, but on the day of the tragedy, it became a nightmare. One train lost a wheel assembly due to a faulty fastening. The cars began to wobble violently before derailing at high speed. The train slammed into a support beam and the retaining wall, throwing riders into the air. 3 people were killed instantly, while dozens were seriously injured. Witnesses recalled screams, twisted metal, and smoke filling the mall. The shock was amplified because the disaster unfolded inside a busy shopping center filled with families. Investigators later revealed that the wheel assembly had a manufacturing defect and that safety inspections had failed to detect the risk. The Mindbender tragedy left a permanent scar on the amusement industry and forced operators worldwide to tighten safety standards and inspection protocols. In 2004, tragedy struck Oakwood Theme Park in Wales on the water ride Hydro, later renamed Drenched. The attraction was famous for its 100-foot lift hill and dramatic plunge into a splash pool that drenched riders. On the day of the accident, 16-year-old Hayley Williams boarded with friends, but her lap bar was not properly secured. As the boat crested the hill and plunged downward, she was ejected from her seat and thrown from a great height. She suffered fatal injuries. Witnesses recalled horrified screams as the boat splashed down without her. Investigations revealed serious flaws in the restraint system and operator negligence in checking passengers before dispatch. The ride was temporarily closed, and the park faced lawsuits and fines. The Hydro disaster remains one of Europe's most haunting examples of how a single safety lapse can turn a thrilling water attraction. In 2015, Alton Towers in the UK witnessed a notorious accident on the Smiler, a steel roller coaster boasting 14 inversions, a world record that drew huge crowds. On that day, multiple trains were operating on the track. One train stalled mid-ride due to a technical fault. Another, filled with riders, was dispatched onto the same track without operators realizing the danger. Traveling at more than 50 miles per hour, it slammed into the stationary train. The impact was devastating. Cars crumpled, passengers were crushed, and chaos erupted. 16 people were injured, with 2 riders losing their legs. Witnesses described screams of agony and the desperate rescue effort that lasted nearly 5 hours as emergency teams worked to free those trapped in mangled metal. Investigators later concluded that human error was to blame, as staff misinterpreted the situation. The park was temporarily closed, and the operator faced heavy fines. The Smiler crash remains one of the most infamous modern amusement ride disasters in Europe. On May 23, 2021, Italy was shaken by one of the deadliest transport tragedies in its modern history. The Stresa Mottarone cable car, connecting the lakeside town of Stresa on Lake Maggiore with the summit of Mount Mottarone, was famous for its scenic views and popularity among tourists. Hundreds of people used it daily to reach the mountaintop in minutes. At around 12:30 p.m., one cabin carrying 15 passengers was nearing the top station. Suddenly, the main supporting cable snapped. The cabin plunged down the mountainside at high speed and slammed into the slope. The impact was catastrophic. 14 people were killed instantly, including 2 children. The only survivor was a 5-year-old boy who suffered severe injuries. Witnesses at the station recalled hearing the crack of metal before seeing the cabin hurtling downward. The atmosphere of horror engulfed everyone present. The investigation uncovered shocking negligence. During maintenance, operators had deliberately disabled the emergency braking system to avoid frequent service interruptions. That decision proved fatal. The Stresa Mottarone disaster became a symbol of the deadly cost of negligence, destroying families and leaving a permanent scar on Italy. On July 26, 2017, the Ohio State Fair in Columbus witnessed one of the most shocking ride accidents in U.S. history. The Fireball, a giant pendulum with spinning gondolas, was the fair's main attraction. During operation, one of the gondolas broke off in front of hundreds of onlookers. Riders were thrown from their seats. An 18-year-old man was killed instantly, and 7 others were critically injured. Eyewitness video spread worldwide within hours, showing the moment of disaster in real time. The celebration turned instantly to chaos and shock. Investigators later determined that an undetectable crack in the ride's metal support beam had caused the failure. The ride was shut down and dismantled. The Fireball disaster remains a reminder that even modern rides can conceal deadly flaws invisible to the naked eye. On September 28, 2019, tragedy struck Mexico City's Feria de Chapultepec amusement park. The Quimera roller coaster, a steel ride famous for its 3 loops, had been the park's star attraction since the 1980s. That afternoon, as dozens of visitors watched, one of the trains derailed while traveling at high speed. The rear car came loose, throwing 2 young men violently to the ground, killing them instantly. 2 women seated nearby were critically injured and trapped in the mangled wreckage. Eyewitness videos showed panic spreading through the crowd, parents pulling children away, people screaming, and staff desperately trying to stop the ride. Within hours, authorities shut down the park and launched an investigation. Inspectors discovered severe maintenance failures, worn bolts, structural fatigue, and years of neglected safety checks. The Quimera disaster not only claimed lives, but also marked the end of a cultural landmark. Feria de Chapultepec, once a symbol of family entertainment in Mexico, was permanently closed after the accident, leaving behind a haunting reminder of how negligence can turn joy into tragedy. On June 27, 2015, Taiwan was shaken by one of its worst modern tragedies at the Formosa Fun Coast Water Park near New Taipei City. The park was hosting a popular summer party where colored powder was sprayed into the air above a cheering crowd. What began as a festive scene turned into horror. The fine powder, highly flammable under heat and lights, suddenly ignited. In seconds, a massive fireball swept across the stage and into the dense crowd. Music was drowned out by screams as flames engulfed hundreds of people. Many tried to jump into nearby pools to save themselves, while others collapsed on the ground with severe burns. The scale was catastrophic. More than 500 were injured, and 15 later died from their wounds. Eyewitness videos captured the moment of ignition and the chaos that followed, spreading worldwide within hours. Investigators later revealed that the powder used was made of flammable starch and had been sprayed with no fire safety measures in place. The event, meant to celebrate summer, became a symbol of deadly negligence and remains one of Taiwan's most haunting public disasters. On October 6, 2019, a tragic accident unfolded at a theme park in Kerala, India. The attraction was a boat-shaped ride, designed to swing like a giant pendulum. That evening, over 30 people boarded, including families with children, expecting a joyful experience. Halfway through the ride, witnesses noticed the boat shaking unnaturally. Within seconds, it capsized violently, throwing passengers into the water below. Panic erupted as people screamed and tried to stay afloat. Parents clutched their children, while others fought to swim or grab onto the tilted structure. Rescue efforts began immediately, but 4 lives were lost, 2 of them children. Survivors were dragged ashore in shock, many crying and injured. Eyewitness videos captured the terrifying moment the boat tipped over, images that quickly spread across Indian news channels, leaving viewers horrified. The investigation revealed that the ride was poorly maintained, lacked valid safety clearance, and had been dangerously overloaded. Authorities admitted that inspections had been ignored. The Kerala boat tragedy sparked outrage across India, fueling demands for stricter safety rules in amusement parks. What was meant to be harmless fun ended as a haunting reminder of the deadly cost of negligence. Write in the comments, would you dare to ride such attractions after watching this video? Also, let us know what other extreme events you'd like to see covered in the next videos.